let's start with the African question. A lot of people are saying, if Julius Malema could just stand up one day and just say, we're going to close the borders, you could get 50% more votes, right?
Yes.
And I want us to deal with that, because if you listen to Patriotic Alliance, they're talking about mass deportation, right? You listen to Mashaba, same sort of story, slightly tweaked. I was interested to hear Tlhabisa this evening, almost taking a different view to say, no, we can't come here with a sort of a xenophobic approach. Can we deal with that to say, is it a fair assessment to say that you have not particularly read your constituency about how they feel about foreigners and the fact that foreigners may take their jobs, etc., etc. They may be part of crimes, they may be part of drugs, what have you. Let's deal with that frankly tonight.
Well, I'm happy that we are in Alexander. So there was a xenophobic attack here in Alex, where people who were selling somewhere on the street were removed.
Yeah.
Successfully by those things of Dodula, what, successfully.
Yeah.
And that space was empty for almost 3 days.
Yeah.
And Alexander people were the ones who were complaining that we want to buy tomatoes.
Yeah.
Want to buy vegetables.
Yeah.
And the people have been chased away, the people that we buy from.
Yeah.
If that was a genuine issue, why after chasing those people from empty spaces, didn't South Africans go and occupy that space and sell those tomatoes since they took your job and you successfully removed them? So why didn't you go and take the space that those people occupied? So it's not a genuine concern.
Yeah.
It's an attack. You look at, you splitting hair because there's nothing you can attack the EFF on in terms of principle. JJ, when we started, this is in our founding manifesto. It has never been an issue. The issue was expropriation of land without compensation.
Yeah.
They went everywhere and told people, that was an attack on the EFF.
Yeah.
When that was articulated very well and we stayed on it and never got shaken, they moved away. They said they're going to nationalize the banks, they're going to nationalize the mines. We said, this is our nationalization. We established a state-owned mining company that is going to compete with the private sector. This is our nationalization of the banks. We established a state-owned bank to compete with the commercial banks.
Yeah.
And you can't say this will destroy the banks. Why didn't public schools destroy private schools? Why do we have private school and have public school?
Parallel, living side by side.
The private schools are still doing business even when there is public schools.
Yeah.
Why do we have private hospitals and public hospitals? And private hospitals are making more money even when there is an existence of public hospitals.
So you're saying
who said a public bank will close a private bank? So public mining company will close.
Are you saying a call to say South Africa first is a wrong call? Because if if I asked Tlhabisa about jobs, he's saying their approach to jobs is a South African first. They need to, if there's somebody in South Africa can do the job, don't give that job to a Zimbabwean.
Have you ever listened to me talking about jobs? The EFF thing is jobs. Is land and jobs now. Stop load shedding. And I say, these ANC people sleep with you to give you a job. We're going to stop that.
Yeah.
The only requirement you want is to have a South African ID and have the qualifications.
Yeah.
South African ID, you South Africa first. South African ID. I don't have to say South Africa first.
Yeah.
I don't have to be anti-Africans.
Yeah.
When I say I love my wife, it doesn't mean I hate Sito.
Yeah.
No, I say South Africans, you will be a priority in terms of your qualifications and all of that. Because these are their jobs.
But don't you think your message there is not accentuated then? Because people are always using a cloud that says, oh, this guy's going to open the borders and hire all the people from Zimbabwe.
So, South Africans are people who are very open about everything. They would have said to me in the biggest rallies, stop that thing we are talking about.
Yeah.
Once I start talking about the love for Africans and how this country must unite the African continent, the whole stadium is receptive. tell me of a country that is rich because of borders. Or no, that country is very successful. It's a world-class country because of a fence. They've got a fence. And a fence led to success.
Yeah.
America has got no fence. 54 states under one president, United States of America. Why are they not putting fence for themselves? Why is Europe not putting fence? If fence is a prerequisite for success, for a country to prosper, you need a fence. And even if you need a fence, there is no fence between Zimbabwe and South Africa. Mackenzie went, he showed you, there's no fence. There's no fence in Lesotho. Actually, he thought he was exposing that these people have got no fence. We've been I said that long time ago. I said, you are acting like mad people. You have a gate, but you don't have a fence. And then you come back at your house without a fence. You open a gate to enter your yard. It doesn't make sense. There is no fence. Africans have moved. It is only those who are threatened by the unity of the Africans who perpetuate a message of hatred. But my last point is, why do you hate me for saying people must unite? I'm not dividing people.
It seems that it's become an election issue, because if you just have to look at what the ANC is doing in terms of the amendment of the Migration or Immigration Act, right? Do you think they are falling into that trap, that they feel the noise of people as anti-African sentiment or anti-foreigner sentiment, and they are now trying to fit into that, strengthen the borders, appoint the border management agency? You saw the border management agency, they were in full force this weekend, etc.
Well, my brother, the 2019 anti-EFF campaign was dishing out title deeds. We don't want to take your land. Yeah, the title deeds. Even people got title deeds here in Alexander. I'm like, to do what with that title deed? Because it doesn't mean anything. If anything, Alexander needs massive development, not title deeds. So they said that in 2019. We were unshaken about it, and we still didn't win elections. I will never engage in a political expediency at the altar of a principle. Rather die on a principle with your boots on than to die an amoeba, shapeless. This one pulls you that way, this one pulls you that way. Before we know it, you have got no shape. You are shapeless, and we can't define what kind of animal is this. I'm saying we need a borderless Africa for free movements of people and goods. And that free movement of people and goods doesn't mean undocumented. Because if I didn't want undocumented people, I would have said, don't take IDs, South Africans. What are you doing with documents? All of us have to be identified. And it is documentation that will identify who we are. Even when African state is united, you still have to tell from which state are you. Europe without borders, they're still Italians, they're still Germans, there's still the British who are saying they're exiting that thing.
So you don't believe in this whole thing about illegal immigration? You are saying that the borders must be open enough for Africans to unite.
You can't be illegal in Africa as African. Because if you follow that, all of us in this room will be in danger. Our roots come from there in the continent.
So the whole hype about border management authority, you don't buy it?
I don't care about that. It's a like you said, it's a gimmick. It's an election gimmick. After that, they are going to leave it. The ANC, none of these people, except Cyril Ramaphosa, crossed into Africa with a passport. They didn't have any documents. Jacob Zuma, Thabo Mbeki and them, they went.
I think they've soon forgotten that. And
they're now telling us another story. When they were there, O.R. Tambo was treated like a state president by other African states. But do you know that Nigeria civil servants had a money deducted from their salaries called the Liberation Fund, official from government salaries, to finance liberation movements in Africa, including the ANC and the PAC.
So you
for us to be liberated.
The EFF is going to stand by this principle. You are not going to be swayed by election mode, where people are beginning to say, be soft, be a little bit soft on this whole issue of open borders.
Well, my brother, Here's the whole manifesto. You have an issue with one.
Yeah.
What is your problem? Who said you're going to find a perfect woman? Where? She's so beautiful, but she might have those things of being noisy or something, but I can work on that.
Yeah.
So there's nothing called beautiful. Even DNA, when you test children DNA, it doesn't say 100%. It said 99.9999. On the basis of that one that is missing there, this is not my child.
All right.
You sound like a fool if a person argues like that.
All right, let's talk about the second constituency now.
Yes.
White people, there is a narrative about EFF and white, because your emphasis obviously African child, etc. You've always said you're not against white people, you are for the black child, right? Let's talk to Afrikaners today. And some of them may be listening, some of the community radio stations joining us here tonight, right? And some are saying, hey, if Julius gets into the union buildings, we are going to run for the hills. What do you say to them tonight?
If you put an Englishman here and put an Afrikaner here and make me choose, I'll choose Afrikaner.
Why?
Because you know what you are dealing with.
A
racist of note. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't create an impression that we are together when we are not together. Actually, the other second point I like about Afrikaners is that majority of them have got one passport. So their loyalty is with this country. They might have a difficulty of identifying with us as one thing because they believe in two nations in one country. But these other ones, white liberals that Biko had a problem with, are the most dangerous people who during the day denounces all manner of things, and then they go behind closed walls to speak very bad about us and exclude us from our own economy. Afrikaners have fought. They fought against the British. They fought against their colonial suppression in the country, because they too were oppressed and had to fight for their own liberation against the British colonialism. So those are the kind of people that I'll deal. There's no white person I can drive to the sea. I don't want to do that. That has never been my
intention. But are you
intention.
reaching out to these people to see what their fears? You remember even with the 94 era coming, there was always this thing about white fears, black aspirations, contradistinctions between the two, etc. Looks like we're back there because white people seem to still be in this corner, and that's why you have organizations that are mobilizing on the basis of that fear. How do you conquer that? I mean, listen to what John Steenhuisen said after your 10th anniversary, talking about trying to hype the issue of kill the Boer, and then even said there is genocide and went overseas and what have you, and that just showed that there's still a sense in which people can mobilize whites against something like the EFF that is talking about transformation, etc., big issues about land, what that may be seen to be threatening Afrikaners. Well,
there's nothing I can do to contest with Swargefar. It's a Swargefar, it's not real. It's a scaremongering. That these people, when they take over, they're going to do this. They said the same thing about Mandela. That we're not going to be led by a prisoner who's going to come and take our land. Of course, he was talking nationalization himself, Mandela, at the time.
Absolutely. In the first few days.
Yes.
and
then they left. Those are the hobos, the white hobos you see today here in South Africa. They left their properties at the Vaal River. They left and said, these people are going to kill us. When they were there, they realized they are not rich. The rent, compared to those currencies, there is nothing. Some of them had to do the jobs that we're doing for them outside there. And they said, the best thing, let's go back. And when they came back, it was too late. So I can't deal with that. And these things of ours are written in English. And of late, I saw the SDS printed Afrikaans now. And all different languages. So they can read that for themselves, and they know what I want. Because that's what Afrikaners wanted. I want what Afrikaners wanted from the British. I'm asking for the same thing, and they know what that means. It means that they are going to be in a dinner table with monkeys, and they don't want that. This boy is asking for mad things. How can I be equal to my subject? So We cannot listen to that. We listen to genuine concerns.
Yeah.
Let's go to the white Afrikaners. They gave each other land in the 90s when they knew 1994 is coming. De Klerk and them went to explain to them, ran referendum, said, guys, let's allocate ourselves. There was a road that was built between Rustenburg and Mafikeng. And this story I get told by Thandi Modise, she's still alive.
Yeah.
When they were building this road to Mafikeng, they had to go past the farms. When they pass the farms, they are expropriating land. But South Africa's law says when you expropriate land, you must compensate.
Yeah.
Now they say to the white Afrikaners, bring title deeds so that we can compensate you for the piece of land we took when we're passing by your farm. No, that is my contribution. That is my contribution. You know why? They don't have title deeds. Most of these farmers don't have title deeds. They gave to each other. There's a comrade of mine who went to take a land in Midval when we were occupying land. Told this white Afrikaner, my guy, from here to here, from today, is me. That man said, I'm going to fight with you. I'm going to take you to police station. You can't take my land. And this comrade says to me, I just went to buy a fence and I fenced that place. Yeah. One neighbor's me and that guy. He can't go anywhere. He doesn't have a title deed. Yeah. He was told as he was doing door to door. He's not from Midval. Yeah. But no, there is an Afrikaner there who has taken a huge piece of land and everybody's scared, very scared of that guy. Yeah. My guy is now farming pigs in that land. And the Afrikaner, they are together. They advise each other of, no, but the year we can do this. Anama Bambiri doesn't have papers. Yeah. Yes. So
that brings us to the issue of land, which is truly what the fear is. The whole issue about expropriation of land without compensation. How do you make it palatable? And I know that you're saying we're not scared of this and we're not supposed to listen to that. How do you make it palatable to people? Because frankly, I had a conversation with somebody from AfriForum a couple of years ago, and I asked him a simple question. Tell me, Chief, when you've got 30 hectares of land and you live on 2 hectares, and 2 hectares is a big piece of land, right? Even if you put a massive house, you still have like you won't even see where the sun is setting. But let's say you have 5 hectares, just to be silly, right? Why can't you give up this other 25 and give it to other people because actually you are not using it, right? Is that the kind of approach that you may use to implement this thing when you actually now have the power, right? Yes. Or people must just just know that you have 2 or 3 hectares, doesn't matter, all that land doesn't belong to you anymore. I think that sometimes maybe we must simplify this thing for them. EFF is in power on the 1st of June. What you do on expropriation, mind you and the ANC failed together, and all the black parties in the last 5 years to do what the resolution was already giving you a check to do.
Yes. Well, you can't say you and the ANC failed together. The ANC chickened out at the last minute, and you must put the blame where it matters. Yeah. The ANC at the last minute, after we canvassed the whole country, majority of people said expropriate land without compensation. Submission said expropriate land without compensation. You are saying to me, people are scared. Which people? Because I've been all over South Africa. Parliament has been all over South Africa. You can go and find that in Parliament, where majority of people said expropriate land without compensation, and do what this guy of mine did in Midval. He didn't chase away the white man. He said, you've got too much big the land and you are not using it, all of it. So take your portion, I take my portion, then we use the land all over. But you can't do that if you don't own the land. So you first make the state the custodian of the land. You say, every piece of land, including Malema's house, is owned by the state. But we will know, yes, Malema's house, you can't tamper with it. Your property must include the building on top of the land. Then, once that is being allocated, we know there is Alex Mall, there is this, this land is used for this. Then there is this idling land. What do you do with it? You give to the landless. Why should Alexander be the way it is when there is a big open land next to it? The other one is there by Mall of Africa.
Yeah.
They even developed it that the family.
Yeah.
It's
99-year lease.
now,
Waterfall.
but that land is owned by one family.
Yeah.
And then the rich, the most clever blacks with money, go there
Yeah.
to buy properties that are leased for 99 years.
Yes.
And they say we can't lease from the state. But they're
Yeah.
prepared to lease from one
From
family.
one family. Yeah.
So what? This is just hypocrisy.
Yeah.
That's why I said to you, they don't mean it. They don't own property. And the bad thing with that one of Waterfall is that when the lease finishes,
Yeah.
your children or great grandchildren, they don't have a right to inherit that land. Once the lease finishes, they must still buy. They must enter into a new lease
Yeah.
and buy. So we are suggesting what is being done in Waterfall
already.
but by a private company. The people who are saying to you, these people can't take our land, what? They are staying in flats, and they are given sectional title deeds that you own here, but they don't own the land where they were prepared to buy apartments and flats. Most of these people are staying in estates that are not owned by them, but they've got a problem with the state ownership. So it's not real. The
Yeah.
obsession that our people are obsessed with the piece of paper called a title deed is not true. The most effective way, we give the land to the state, we allocate wherever is already allocated, you are there, don't move. Then
Do you get a sense that South Africa is ready for that?
it is. South Africa told you, JJ, we did public hearings on expropriation of land without compensation. The ANC,
That's why you nearly beat up Terala Goda.
he was telling me nonsense. That's why I didn't want to come here and meet Gwede, because he is going to talk nonsense and I'll answer him. Because I don't care about age. I care about wisdom.
Yeah.
You can be old and be stupid. There are old people without wisdom, a lot.
Yeah.
And there are young people with too much wisdom. And you
I
ask
want to
yourself where
link
they
into
get
this
it.
thing about ANC and EFF because it's relevant in the context of what you try to do on the land. You went to put a,
Then they say, no,
resolution.
expropriate the land without compensation, but it must be a rotten land. What do you do with a rotten land? They say this, you must expropriate the state-owned land.
Yeah.
It's already ours. How can we expropriate what is ours?
Yeah. No,
They were pretending to be.
Yeah, understand. But can
And then
that
they
be-
say the EFF sold out.
Is that
We
the-
were not going to vote for rotten land.
Is that
We
the-
want
yeah.
Sandton City.
Sorry, is that a deadlock in your view? Because I want to believe that should you come to a situation where you are on the table to try to negotiate some kind of a deal with the ANC, the land issue is going to be number one.
Yes.
Not just because it's your thing as
Yes.
the top of your agenda, but that's why the ANC was founded. So it should be something that's common between the two of you.
When I was in the ANC and Balega Mbete was a national chairperson, when she spoke about the land and how the Economic Commission at the CODESA sidelined the issue of the land, you know, it feels like she wants to cry about it because she knows the originality of where this compromise was made. So we will never miss each other with the ANC on the land question, because the ANC went to Nazareth and said we must expropriate without compensation, but elected wrong leadership, which
who
got
did not
scared,
pursue that,
who were scared
that
to pursue the resolution. Unlike 1944, when the Youth League was formed and took a resolution including the program of action to revive the ANC and to radicalize the South African struggle. The Youth League went to ANC 1949 conference and made the ANC to adopt its own resolutions. And then did not end there and said, we need correct people to come and lead this. That's when they elected the correct leadership. Walter Sisulu was in that leadership. Nelson was in that leadership. O.R. Tambo was in that leadership. Because they knew that we have got a progressive policy to take up arms against the murderous regime, but these pastors will not implement arms. We need people who are going to take up arms.
Do you think there is a hope between you and the ANC in terms of collaboration on a bigger scale? I'm not talking municipalities.
We are not far from what we are demanding is what was the original demand of 1912 when the revolution started in South Africa. So we are demanding the fundamental cause of what made us to be where we are. We are demanding that which was sold out at Codesa. We are the original ANC because our policy is exactly that. These guys wanted the land and said the land must be returned to the